Hey modders, welcome back to ModifedRoll. Don't forget we're sponsored by DM Dice. Check out the link to their website in our description, or head over to dmdice.co.uk and use the code ModifedRoll for 10% off all purchases. In the last episode, the party fought off the gnolls who had laid ambush by the river and continued northward to Keyrn. While laying over one night in a nearby forest, the rest of the party realised that Twilight had disappeared. Setting off deeper into the forest on her own, she eventually ran into a unicorn, who gave them blessing to rest that night in the forest, although the rest of the party never quite believed her. We join them now as they return to camp, and prepare for the last few days of their journey. In this, episode 11 of Season 2 of ModifedRoll, Arrival at Keyrn.
Okay, well, we're all starving, so...
Oh yeah, how do we get back? I don't even know where I am.
It's alright, we'll just follow the glittery footprints. That's how we got here, that's how we'll find our way back.
Yeah, you guys make your way back to camp and you set up for the night. Just before we progress, I realised I was something I meant to ask at the top of the session and forgot. What coinage are people carrying?
I have nothing.
Oh, I'm loaded.
I have gold.
I have 4 gold pieces and 2 silver.
10 copper, 22 silver, and 30 gold.
Oh my god!
I have a lot of gold.
Okay.
I have 5
we're
gold
just-
and that's it.
I have 4 gold and 2 silver.
I have
I'm the
100.
poorest.
I have 110 gold.
What?
Nice.
Oh my god!
I'm a rich.
Cool.
I'm a rich bitch.
Cool.
Oh, I'm gonna get mugged now.
Who would be taking last watch tonight?
Not me. I'm not taking last watch. Actually, no. Yes, no, I am gonna take last watch. I'll take last watch.
Okay. Can you make me a perception check at disadvantage?
Oh, okay.
I can't believe I met a fucking unicorn. What is this?
Why disadvantage?
Well, you'll have to find out later. Maybe.
9.
Okay, you didn't notice anything.
Fuck. No, I had 10 gold on it.
Okay, the night passes without incident.
Oh. Fuck, that thing's gonna come back and get our gold.
No offense, but I'm pretty sure even you would notice that thing coming back and eating your gold. So the next morning, you continue your travel. You move out of the forest, and Twilight, as you're leaving, you feel something watching you as you leave. Even as you cast about, you can't see it, but you get the distinct impression that the unicorn is just watching you go.
I'm gonna think in my head in Sylvan. Thank you for letting us stay.
You don't hear anything back.
Okay, that's fine. What I was expecting. Playing hard to get.
So day 8 passes without incident, and the evening on the 8th day also passes without incident. By the time you get to the 8th day, you're now well and truly into this mountainous pass. There's less foliage and trees, so when you set up camp for the 8th night, you're more so setting up behind some thick brush as opposed to a tree line or anything, but you do still have cover where you can sit and make your camp. By the 9th day, as you're traveling into the pass, you see the mountains starting to rise up on either side of you.
Has the weather turned? Because have we climbed? Has it gotten colder?
You're not, because you're in the pass. You're not climbing up.
Oh, we're more in the
once,
valley then.
Yeah, once it rose to a certain height, you kept on a level incline. But the river is now below you, though, is what I should have described as well. The river's like slightly lower than you were now. The path sits slightly above it because of the incline. But the 9th day passes, and by the time you get to the 9th evening, you can now spot in the distance, sort of spanning this pass in between the mountains, a large wall of what you can assume to be the city of Keyrn. And on the 9th night, nothing occurs. So by the 9th night, as you're making up camp, you can spot the torchlight on the wall in the distance, and you know that by the next day, you should be arriving by about midday. You set up camp, and tell a lie before I say nothing occurs. Who's taking the first watch?
That'll be me.
Okay.
Oh my.
Can you make me a perception check at disadvantage, please?
2.
Oh.
Go. Nothing happens.
Oh no.
Oh.
The next morning, you set off, and by midday, you've arrived at the gates of Keyrn. There's not as much foot traffic here, and I probably could have described it a bit more, but as you were traveling into this valley between the mountains, there were areas that were more open. You passed a few sort of areas of farmland. You passed a few smaller towns, like further down next to the river. So you would have had to travel off the road you were on to reach them, but it's obvious that this is like a place that's full of life. It's not a barren valley. There is life here, there is farming, there are villages, there are things going on here. And as you approach the wall, the river passes, you can see it passes through Keyrn under part of the wall. The wall spans the entire width of this sort of gap in the valley. As you approach, the gates are open, there are guards carrying out checks, but it is for the most part just checking for merchants' goods and things there. They're not stopping anyone from entering, they're mostly just performing checks. Would you guys have anything you wanted to say to the guards, or would you just head into the town as your wave through?
Should we probably get the vibe before we start asking questions?
Maybe.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, don't want to draw any attention yet. We don't know if anything's going on here yet or
They're
not.
just simply travellers looking for a place to stay.
Maybe we can. I'll ask where the nearest inn, the best inn is, the nicest
That's a
one.
good question.
Maybe not too nice. Not all of us can afford that.
Well,
Some of us aren't poor.
I can at the minute.
Me and Kazisa will be in the alleyway on a cardboard box.
Get on it just there.
I wouldn't let you all
Volumes.
sleep out on the streets.
Just in the foyer.
Wow, have I given the impression that I'm selfish?
No,
to you?
not at all. Not at all.
Yep. So you approach the guards, and they're doing general checks as you come forward. They're like, one of them like, halt, just doing a general check, and one of them motions to another, and he walks over and he's just like having a look in your wagon, making sure you're not bringing anything illegal in. You guys are sort of, you guys are all aware that these are the standard checks. You like show them the goods you're carrying, your rations and stuff for travel. There's nothing much there. But as you're waiting, which one of you would like ask about where to go?
I'll ask. Gillian will go, hello, good sir. How are you?
Gate duty today. Not
Yeah.
particularly interesting, but
It's been quite busy.
I expect it'll pick up closer to sundown as a lot of the farmers travel in, but
Oh, it's a
normal day so far.
good nightlife here.
There certainly can be. Depends which part of the city you head into.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to ask you. Where would you recommend that we stay? Because we've never been here before. It's our first time, so we wanted a bit of advice on where to stay.
Well, welcome to Keyrn then. In that case, there are 2 taverns I would recommend. There are a few inns and a few other taverns, but for staying at, the 2 I would recommend are Just Inn, through the gate, further down the street.
Just in? Is that what it's called?
Just in through the gate, further down the street, you'll see the Ember Heart Gate. It's most commonly used by most of the travellers coming through due to its location, and they don't charge an arm and a leg. Good clean sheets, good food, nothing spectacular, but you'll see a lot of travellers, a lot of merchants staying in there. Further in, if you've got a bit more coin to spend, there's the Black Stag. A lot of the travelling nobles who aren't staying at one of the estates here would often stay there. There are a few other places for drinks, but I would recommend the 2 of those as a place to sleep.
And where would you recommend for drinks?
Oh, I'd have to say the Scallywag.
Ooh.
You'll relatively safe. A lot of the guards would drink there when off duty, but good drink, cheap. Best I recommend.
Is that where you're drinking?
I mean, I might be there this evening, and you can see him smile.
Well, we might see you there then. What was your name? Sorry.
The guard you're speaking to is a dwarf. Just for the record, the name's Amthrin. I've just realised he can't be a dwarf because I haven't been speaking in a Scottish accent, so that can't be true. He's a human. Okay. He's a human called Radforth. The name's Radforth. And that's
Well-
Radvorth, Radforth.
Radforth. Well, Radforth, it was such a pleasure to meet you. Maybe we'll see you again later at the Scallywag. I'm going to wink.
He
And
blushes a little bit.
yeah, hopefully it doesn't get too busy while your shift is still on. And then I'm gonna I don't know what
Finger
it's
guns.
called. Oh, I wasn't gonna finger guns. I was just gonna snap the reins.
Snap the reins, yeah.
And just go.
Yeah, you head into the city proper then. Without having seen, none of you have ever been to the city before, you can see as you come in off to your east, because you've pretty much been on the west-hand side of the river the whole way here. As you come in to your east, you see the river as it winds through the city. And you can see, even within the city proper, it's a fairly wide river. You can tell this is where it's been sort of like built up. And the city is much longer than you expected. When you come in, obviously, it's quite wide. It spans the distance between these two inclines in the mountains, but it also goes a fair distance. And you can see one side climbs up on the west. It climbs up a fairly steep mountain, and you can see a lot of homes, like not hovels, but you can tell these are like commoners' homes on the left-hand side. You see on the right, the incline is much shallower, and you can see what appear to be a lot of nobles' estates off in the distance as they sort of climb up onto the shallower, more, where there's a bit more ground to use. And in the city proper, you can see a lot of the area directly in front of you, inns, a lot of like mercantile areas, a lot of shops. As you head off towards the west, you can tell things. It's nothing here is like slum-like, but you can tell as you head towards the west and like the commoner district, it's much cheaper shopping areas, and as you head towards the right, it's much fancier. So the river almost denotes a split between, mostly commoners this side, mostly nobles or merchants on this side. There's no gates or anything that sort of like separates two. It's not like a walled internal city that separates them. You can tell people can go where they wish, but one is set up to cater to one side and one is set up to cater to the other. And in the distance on the far side, you see another wall, and this is what you imagine separates Keyrn from this like arid desert to the north that you've heard about.
So which inn do we think? Do we think Amberheart Gate or the Black Stag? What are we all feeling?
Those of low coinage.
I mean, if we're just looking like adventurers to the guards, maybe it would be a good idea to stay with where other adventurers are rather than nobles. Might seem a bit odd for
Yeah,
a group of adventurers to just go to,
I agree. I think that's a good shout, actually. Don't want to seem too important, like, I know we've just, like, saved a village and everything, but we don't want to seem like we're too good.
Well, again, we've just got here and we don't know what's going on here yet.
True.
If there is anything.
Oh, yeah, true. Don't want to raise any red flags.
Emberheart Gate it is, then.
Yeah,
Shall we?
You guys head over to the Emberheart Gate, and as the guard described, it's a tavern or inn that's used to seeing a lot of throughput. It's quite large. It has its own like stable on the side where you can like leave the wagon and the horses, and I'm assuming you guys are gonna like put the horse and wagon and head straight in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even at this time of day, it's not packed, but you can tell it is busy. You can spot a lot of people dotted about having. I would say at this time of day they're having lunch. You can spot a couple of merchants, a couple of traveling guards who are probably traveling with a merchant, and a couple of just people dressed in relatively nice clothes. Nobody here is going to be mistaken for a noble, but they're certainly not covered in dirt and haven't come straight off the farm yet.
It's quite nice in here.
Yeah, it's definitely clean. It's cozy. It's plenty of light, fresh straw on the floor. And it's all decent furniture. Nothing's like falling apart and anything. It is quite a nice inn.
Well, Gilliana's going to clap her hands together and rub them together. Shall we go and inquire about somewhere to stay?
Yeah.
I'll go and do that.
Yeah. So you approach the bar and stood there, as all of my bartenders do, cleaning a glass.
Perfect.
Is a male dragonborn.
Ooh.
Oh.
He is a copper dragonborn, and he nods at you as you approach and smiles.
Hi.
Good afternoon. How can I help?
I just want to start by saying this is such a lovely establishment. Like, this is one of the nicest inns I've stayed in.
He smiles and he smiles and says, "Why, thank you. We do try to run a quite tight ship around here."
Well, I did say stayed in. I meant would like to stay in. Would you have any rooms available for the night? I don't know how long we're staying. I didn't ask.
That's perfectly fine. Yes, we. How many rooms do you require?
This is a good question. Maybe I should have booked some.
What are your room prices?
Sure, I knew that was going to be the next question, so I've just flipped to the notes. Here we go.
Need to know who some of our don't have much coin, so we'll probably be fronting the bill. And he whispers that over the counter.
For a room, we can set you up in a room for 4 or 2 rooms for 2. Which would you prefer?
Depends how much a room is.
For the room for 4, that would be 10 silver per day, and for the 2 rooms of 2, it would be 6 silver per room. I will say that does also include breakfast, but all other meals are on top of that.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Okay. What do we think? 2 or 1? 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1. I'm just holding up my fingers. I'm just going 1, 2, 1, 2.
Dealer's choice. What do you fancy?
Let's say, I know, let's just go for 2. Let's go for 2, because we normally share. Let's mix it up a bit.
Mix it up.
Split the party.
That would be 12 silver for the single night then. If you do decide that you are going to stay for longer, we do have specialist rates if you wish to book for rooms in advance.
I don't know how long. How long shall we book for? I don't know how long we're staying for.
Well,
do you think 1
maybe
or?
We'll find out tomorrow how long we're going to be, and then we can.
By all means, you don't have to pay for the advanced rooms now. I just want to let you know that for a 10-day, we offer those 2 rooms for 1 gold piece.
Should I just do that?
Yeah, Sinclair will just immediately put a gold on the bar. There you are.
Oh, okay. I was.
You're looking for an excuse to look at your gold, aren't
I
you?
really want to look. I'm so scared. Well, if you get the room, I'll get the drinks.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so Sinclair, make sure you've marked off a gold. You now have a 2 sets. You now have 2 double rooms in the Emberheart Gate for a 10-day.
Nice.
And Gilliana, are you buying like food and drink? Are you just buying a round of drinks? What are you buying?
I'll buy food and drink.
Okay. For a meal per person, that will be 5 silver per person, and I can do a. Would you guys be drinking wine, ale? What would you like?
Do you have mead?
We do have mead. We have a lovely mead that's made made locally here, just to the south of the southern wall.
Ooh, I'll have a mead. And what would everyone else like?
Produce of the land, pay law. It's perfect. I'll take one of those as well.
We'll have 2 meads. And what would
Make
what
that
would you
3.
like? 3 meads. And what would you like, Twilight?
Is mead really sweet?
Yes.
This is in character. Yeah, I'll go for a mead then.
Easy. 4 meads, please.
Perfect. Then that will be 20 silver and 18 copper.
Okay. I will pay that.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, would Gilliana check her coinage, or would she just pull out the coinage she needs?
She'll check.
You're currently 10 gold short.
Oh, okay.
Hey, that's what I got.
I'm 10
You're missing
gold
10 gold.
short.
You're missing 10 gold.
Okay. Well, I thought I had more than what I did. When the hell did I spend any money? Because you know what, guys, that actually just happens sometimes. Sometimes I just spend money and I don't remember that I did it. Like, do I? I don't have anything.
Money.
I don't remember. We haven't got anything.
Yeah, I don't remember there being anywhere to spend
At like
money.
10 gold, we would have remembered you spending. That's like not cheap.
No, 10 gold isn't cheap. Well, I mean, it's still fine, but I don't know where that went. It's a good job my parents aren't here because they would be so mad that I
could get 100 days here for that price.
Yeah, we could. That's a lot of money. Oh no. Okay. So sorry. How much? I got really distracted. How much do I owe you? Good sir.
It was 20 silver and 18 copper, please.
Okay, there you go. I'm going to put it on the table.
Okay, takes it.
Push it forward.
He takes the coinage, drops it into a little their equivalent of a till. It says, if you'd like to pick a table, I can bring the food and drink over to you as soon as it's ready.
Thank you so much.
And just as a reference, just because it's a little thing on this, as he turns around, you do notice from like the back of his skull, like the back of his head, down, and you can't see the rest of it because it's under his clothes, but you do see like a strip of what appears to be like where his silver scale, or no, I said copper, didn't I? His copper scales almost appear to have gone like green. You know, the way that copper oxidizes. So there's just like a strip of like oxidized copper that runs down the back of his neck.
Like Blake
Nice.
Lively at the Met Gala.
I didn't watch it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm imagining it like Blake Lively.
But yes, you just know that it's just a thing.
When we sat down, I'm gonna turn to Gilliana and be like, "Are you sure you didn't put the like gold in another pocket, or?"
No, I always keep all my gold in one place, so then I know exactly where it is. So I don't. It's definitely not anywhere else. Like I don't know where it could have gone.
Weird. Also, I don't know if you should keep all your gold in one place. What if someone steals that one place?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm gonna split my. Do you have any like? I'm gonna put my gold in different pockets.
Yeah, I mean, I've got one in each bra cup, one down the shoe.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And that's all of her gold.
That's all my gold.
I'm gonna put like some of my gold in my shoe, some in like my like pockets, and then I'm gonna keep some in my little pouch. So my gold is now.
So Gilliana now jingles when she walks.
I mean,
it's tight. It's in tight places.
It doesn't matter when you widen you up. But yeah, so a few minutes pass, and it being quiet, like I say, relative quiet. Like I said, there's still a few people in here. The bartender is still the only one working, so he brings you the food and drink over himself. And you've got a lovely meal prepared in front of you, some fresh meats from the local farm, some fresh vegetables, just like a little roast almost, and some freshly baked bread, as well as your 4 steins of mead. He sets it all down and says, please enjoy. If you need anything else, just give me a shout.
Perfect. This is a really important. Like, how many copper are in a gold?
100.
Oh, okay.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's 100, 100, 100, 100.
Yeah.
Or is it 10, 10, 10, 10, 10?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I always forget. Hold on.
it says in the
Or is
little
it
thing.
100 copper, then 10 silver to a gold?
There's 10 silver to a gold, yeah, so it'll be 100 copper to a gold.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and how many copper did I need to give that man?
18.
18, okay. I'm trying to maths it, because you can't just... It's complicated.
For some reason I keep thinking it's 100, but yeah, it's 10, 10, 10. So it's 10 copper is 1 silver, 10 silver is 1 gold, so on and so forth.
10 gold is 1 platinum.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, now you're in the tavern. You've got your food and drink. There's a few other merchants and what appear to be merchants and merchants' guards around you. Would you guys do anything else this afternoon, or would you just use this as a chance to sort of recuperate and relax, or would you guys immediately get on with what you think your job is?
I think we should probably ask some questions.
Yeah, I think we should.
Does sound like a good idea.
Can we see anybody who we think would know any information?
I mean, depends what information you're looking for at the minute.
We just want to know about do we just want to know about if there's any anything weird's been going on, like anybody's been behaving any differently? Like anybody who looks like they live here, like locally, that they're not.
I mean, like I said, at the minute, being the afternoon, most of the people here appear to be dressed either as like merchants or like guards. So without speaking to them, you wouldn't know if they are like a local merchant or a traveling merchant.
I mean, a guard might be good to ask.
Yeah, I don't want to draw too much
Well,
attention.
when I say guards, I mean like traveling merchants guards, not like local guards.
I see what you mean. Okay. I'm just gonna drink my mead.
So it's gonna depend entirely on what sort of information you're gonna look for. Like, are you just wanting to ask general information, or do you even just want to sit and listen to what they're talking about, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, maybe sit and listen. That might be good because we don't really know who to approach yet.
Be little sleuths.
Sinclair will take a different approach, and he'll do what he did in Knights of Valor, and he'll look for a nearby merchant, and he'll go and just sit at their table.
Being a Dragonborn myself, would I know if there'd be people that would be outside the island already, or, well, grew up outside the island, or would it be mostly on the island?
Like you're aware that there are other Dragonborn who don't live on the island, like there are other ones. So but you wouldn't know if they don't they're not all born there.
Yeah.
So without speaking to the tavern keeper, you're not going to know if he like grew up there, if he was born somewhere else, or anything like that.
Okay.
Do you want to go and speak to him, or are you going to like do the rumor listening as well?
I'm going to listen for now.
Okay.
Just keeping that in mind.
So we'll start with the three of you. So Sinclair, you get up and you scan. So while you're sort of like working out where you're going to go and then going somewhere, the other three of you can make just general perception checks.
Well, I rolled a natural 1.
Beautiful.
You're enjoying the
very
meat
interested
a bit too
in
much.
yeah. I'm like trying to work out how old the table is by counting the rings in the wood.
I rolled a 10.
I rolled a 21.
Damn.
Jesus.
Okay, so just Gilliana then. Just reading through my notes on rumors, see which ones you're going to pick up here. Yeah. So as you're listening in, you're sort of like almost like tuning into radio stations. You're sort of flicking from one conversation to the other, and as an elf and someone who was raised like as a warrior and a fighter and stuff, you're able to tune into these bits of conversation, and you sort of flip from one to the other. People talking about the price of woolens or the dangers in transporting them through certain regions, and then eventually you tune into something which sounds a little bit more interesting, something that might be of a little bit of a help to you. They start talking about, you hear some of the guards from one of the sort of merchants' trains, and they're complaining about their job and, just, I hate the bloody travel these days. I just want to settle down. I'm just sick of going back and forth. And the other one says, yeah, but money's good at the minute. Yeah. Surprised they need so many of us. Oh, do you not hear? What? Oh, apparently some people down in the valley have been going missing as they travel through. They think it's just wild beasts, though. But that's why they're taking so many of us now. None of the merchants want to risk getting caught by whatever is taking these people. And that's what you get from that conversation. I will say, actually, well, with a 21, you hear another one. This time, just as the tail end of that conversation is petering off, and the first man starts complaining about wet socks or something and something travel related, you just hear the tail end of another conversation with two merchants, and they've been talking about the price of some commodity, and one of them just chimes in about, well, at least we know Keyrn's safe, once you're inside the walls, and the other one says, yes, but have you heard the strangest thing about some of the soldiers? I was like, no. They bring these men in, train them up, they disappear for a few days, and then turn up again, and then leave. It's damnedest thing. Well, surely they must be off undergoing their drills or whatever. Yes, but normally they would do their drills to the north, out in the wastes, or up in some of the nobles' estates. Or on a very rare occasion, they would practice maneuvers down in the valley itself, but these men turn up, a handful of them just disappear for a few days, and then they reappear, and then they're sent off to some other station somewhere. Damnedest thing. And then they just go into talking about the general history and some of the, like, how often the attacks from the north are happening these days. Because, again, general information, like you guys would be aware, Keyrn's whole position is there to stop sort of barbarian clans and orc clans in the arid desert to the north from, like, invading to the south. Especially Sinclair, you're going to have a fairly good bit of, like, knowledge on that.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's the main thing they fight at the minute. Keyrn was very involved in the war as well, but for now, and for a lot of its history, it has mostly been just stopping the more, like, the nomadic groups and races from the north, sort of invading the more fertile valley and, just raiding them for goods and plunder. So the conversation sort of drips to that, and the number of, like, attacks there have been recently and stuff, just general conversation. So you get those two pieces of information just from listening to the rumors.
Okay.
Sinclair, are you looking for a merchant on his own, or are you looking for, like, a group, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, a merchant on their own.
Okay. Give me. You spot a merchant sat eating by himself. Give me an insight check.
16.
You get the impression this merchant is sitting by himself because he wants to be sitting by himself.
Do Do any of the groups of merchants look approachable?
Give me an insight check.
Oh god, even worse. 10.
I mean, with a 10, I will say, as you scan the room, you do see a pair who are a few further into their cups than the rest. Sort of a bit of blush going on around the nose and cheeks, and they're a bit further in. And they seem to be just having just general conversation. They aren't, unlike some of the other ones who appear to be like, hashing out business or whatever, these two just appear to be having a conversation.
Excellent then. Sinclair will approach them.
Cool. As you approach, the two of them sort of look to you, and then they look up further up until they get to your face. Like, you're a big lad. How can we help?
Gentlemen, I've just rolled on into this fine town, and I was wondering if two lovely gents of this establishment would be willing to give me some insights on this lovely town.
Oh, yes, of course. Pull up a chair. And you see one of them wave over to the bartender. Give me the information I had a minute ago. Yeah, one of them waves over to the bartender. Ethert, another round, please. Another round. Yes, come on. And Ethert nods. You see him roll his eyes slightly. You get the suspicion that he's considering cutting them off at this point. Although they're not belligerent, but you can tell they are quite far into their cups. The one who's been speaking to you has been doing most of the talking. The other ones, you can see he's like, his eyes are like focusing in and out as he looks at you. He says, "Oh, you're a half-orc, yes?"
Yes, indeed. My part of my parentage is of orcish race. Yes.
You can see he's like scrunching up his nose and squint his eyes. What's the other half? You're awful tall.
My other half is not from this land. Actually, from a continent to the north. It's of the Goliath race.
That would explain it then. And the other one sort of like bats him on the shoulder. Come now, stop asking these personal questions of the lad.
Oh no worry. Don't. No offence taken by it at all.
We do the one who's a bit more. We do get you're probably aware we get a few half orcs through here. We just don't often see some as tall as yourself.
Well, let me be your first gentleman.
They both giggle at that one. The first one's like, so, first time in Keyrn, then. What would you looking to know about this, as you say, fine city?
Well, what goes on here, who's in charge, who to look out for, who not to look out for, that sort of thing.
He sort of nods solemnly. At this point, the bartender, Ethert, comes back over and sets the drinks down. He sets you down another mead as well, assuming that they're sort of like buying you into the round, and leaves, and he says, he takes a big drink. Yes, well, you're probably aware, we have the merchants run most of the business side of the city, but we ultimately answer to the nobles. Keyrn, the four largest houses would be the Asper, Fennec, Rog, what's Carlin? The other one at this point, he's like sort of nodding off. Garrick, yes, Garrick, and White, yes. They're the four major houses in the city. We mostly answer to them, but they let us run most of the day-to-day stuff. And then, the Merchants Guild run most of the commerce. You're more interested in the nobles, the trades? What are you looking to learn about?
Well, both sides. I'm here for both business and pleasure.
Oh, fair enough then. So you don't come across, so you don't stick a foot wrong. To be fair, between the merchants and the nobles, young Fennec, Jace Fennec, he's probably the one that straddles both worlds. I mean, the word saying straddles the other. Straddles. Quiet, Rog. Yes, young Jace Fennec, he straddles both. Again, he says straddles. Straddles, Rog. He's and he glares at Rog. He's like, he's in both worlds. Yes. The Fennec, you may have heard of the Fennec household. Merchants all, for the most part, made their wealth in trade. They own the mines nearby that the city made most of its gold from. They don't work them themselves. They sort of lease them out, rent them as they were. Those who they can work on the work in the mines and what they pull out, what they sell. They owe a percentage to the Fennec household. Young Jace is he's running the estate here in Keyrn. His father, I believe, is back in Belgravia somewhere. Yes, he's not doing too bad of a job. Bit young, bit green behind the ears, but doing all right. Yes, he'd be the one to speak to about any trade you wish to set up within the city. While I say the merchants run the city, the young Fennec has a finger in most of those pies. He seems to take a percentage of most things, organizes most contracts.
It sounds like an interesting contact.
If you can get the time to see him, I understand he's a busy man. Like I say, fingers in many pies. Fingering many pies. At which point Roger fingering. Shut it, Rog! Forgive my friend. He's had a bit too much to drink, I'm afraid. And then there's, in terms of the protection of the city, we've got Harlow. That was the one. Harlow, the Garrick. Old fellow Garrick. He's been here as long as I can remember. His father before him. He's a cleric, I believe. One of the him and Carlin. Yeah, him and Carlin White. They tend to be most involved in defense of the city. As you'll be aware, the nobles would be the ones to fund the defense of the city. The two of them tend to do most of it. Young Fennec, he's more interested in money. He funds the defense of the city, as far as I'm aware, and has done for years, but doesn't provide many. Not involved in the training of the soldiers like White and Harlow are. But yeah, older fellow Garrick, nice man, but a bit stuck in his ways, I'd say. No family either. He seems to believe his protection of the city comes first. Never married, no kids. Probably a bit lonely, which Rog sort of nods. I was like, yes, can't imagine that. But yes, and there was Carlin, I believe. Yes, Carlin White. He trains up the most of the soldiers. Garrick, he seems to be most involved in the clerics and paladin. At this point, he's sort of like, you see him like zone in on the market. Much like yourself, yeah, man of the cloth. He tends to train up most of them in the city. Good lad. But yeah, not much wrong with him. But Carlin seems to be more involved in the actual military, this training of the soldiers and defense of the city, watching the walls, things like that. Nice man. His wife died. Unfortunate thing, passed away a few years ago. Illness, I believe. But 2 daughters. Yes. Nice lad. And then don't know much about her, but Asper starts clicking his fingers. Rog, what's her? Asper, what's her name? Felicia. Yes, Felicia Asper, yes. Not an Asper by birth, married in. I think she was a member of some lesser nobles beforehand, but yeah, she married into the Asper estate. Something happened there, unfortunately. I'm not much involved in the nobles. This is mostly gossip and hearsay, but yes. Rumor has it she poisoned her husband. I hold his hands up. I don't know whether that's true, but rumor is she poisoned her husband, took over the estate. Not involved much in the trade, or she has some guards and soldiers she helps with the city, but not much. Nobody's quite sure how she affords her estate these days without any, merchantry or business going through. So I think that's where the rumors started. I suspect she just has someone supporting her that the rest of us don't know about, but yes, the rumors going about it that she poisoned her husband. She has a young son. Can't think of his name now. Young son, coming of age. People are worried. I think something. At which Rog leans over. Some say she's a witch. Oh, Rog came over. She's not a witch. Does wear a lot of black though. Odd woman. That's the nobles. We have plenty of business here in Keyrn. We're in a position we trade a lot with, the more civilized groups in the north. We trade a lot with those out there. But with the mines, we have plenty of minerals and gems and metals that gets traded down south. And, yeah. Is there anything else you wish to know about, lad?
Well, I think you've answered quite a few of my questions.
Glad
I
we could
thank
be of
you,
assistance.
and thank you for being the first people I spoke to in Keyrn who have been very, very kind.
Oh, it means don't worry about that. Which Roger leans over, like taps your arm and says, "It's all right, lad." Just taps your arm and leans back. And the man you've been speaking to, my name's Derek, by the way. And he leans forward, like shakes your hand.
Sinclair.
It's an absolute pleasure, Sinclair. If you're ever in the inn again, then by all means join us for a drink.
I certainly will. No, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Of course. And he sort of like turns back to Roger and is like, "You blithering idiot."
And Sinclair will return to the group. And we'll relay all of that information, because I'm not going to say it all again.
I'll relay what I learned as well.
The lore dump.
So to give a little bit, just like the main thing are the Fennec family are a lot of merchants. They deal a lot with the merchantry in the city. The Whites are mostly involved with the soldiers. The Harlows are mostly involved, like still mostly involved in the defense, but also involved in the training of clerics and paladins. And obviously that does sort of filter into the rest of the city. And Asper, nobody's quite sure what Asper does these days. It's just Felicia, the matriarch of the Asper estate in this region. It's just nobody's quite sure what she does, but she's just there and does help with the city a little bit.
Girl boss, we love her. She killed her husband.
The rumours are she killed her husband. But with that information, it's getting later into the afternoon now. Is there anything else you guys would like to do, or would you use this as a chance to recover from your sort of 10 days on the road? 9 days on the road.
I think we should go out, do something fun. Or maybe we should go to that other tavern, the Scallywag.
You want a night with the Scallywags?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
Sounds
get me
like-
my twerking trousers and let's head on down.
It's time
Sinclair.
to meditate.
You are speaking my language. Let's go.
You finish up your meal, you head up to your room. I'm assuming if you guys are going just to the inn, you wouldn't go in your armour and things. So you doff your armours, you get dressed up, and you get ready to head
We're
out.
getting our going out outfits on.
Who wears armor these days?
You're fancy. You're going out with your fancy clothes, and you get ready to head out for the evening. Well, that's it for another episode. Thanks for sticking with us. As usual, I'd like to thank Lixie B and Jeff for the wonderful logo and character art they created for us, the Stormweather Zombie Choir for letting us use their song Drunken Sailor as our theme tune, DN Dice for sponsoring us, and all of our wonderful Patreon supporters who have been helping us out. Just quickly before we get into the recommended podcast this week, I just want to take a second to wish all of our listeners a happy Pride Month. Unfortunately, because the last episode that came out, although it did technically come out at the very start of June, start of Pride Month, because I pre-recorded and pre-set up all the release for that before going to UK Games Expo that weekend, I had completely forgotten what day it actually came out, so it would have been nice to put it in that episode, but here we are. So we just hope everyone's having a fun and, most importantly, safe Pride. And we'd love if you would send us any pictures over Twitter of any of the celebrations you're at. We would love to see them and celebrate with you. And in that vein, we actually thought that the best podcast to recommend, in the middle of Pride Month, would be a drag D&D live show. I wouldn't be surprised if a few of you guys have heard these. They have been running for a little bit of a while. They have been on my list for a very long time, but just because they have such a long backlog of episodes, I've been trying to pick up new podcasts instead. But with this time of year, I thought they might be a good one to sort of circle back to and recommend to everyone. I have now started listening to them. I've listened to all of their sort of like pre-podcast live show episodes, and I'm a fair bit into the first actual season now. Should probably tell you the name, and that is the Queens of Adventure podcast. These are a group of professional drag queens playing Dungeons & Dragons and just having an absolute blast. It is so much fun to listen to. Really enjoy it. Cannot recommend enough. And if you've got friends who are not really into D&D, but you think, if they actually gave it a try, they might like it, I think this is probably a good podcast to, if they're into drag queens and that sort of humour, I think this is a good podcast to get them introduced to, because they use a lot of just, standard drag humour, and they just implement it so well in a D&D setting that I just think it comes across really funny, just a really well produced and easy to listen to podcast. So that is the Queens of Adventure. We will have all of the links to their info in the description. And if you've been keeping an eye on our socials, or if you're in our Discord, you would have seen that we have now officially launched our merch store. Because we are paying Jeff licensing fees to use all of his art, we are releasing them as we can pay for each of the licenses. So right now you can pick up merch which features Twilight. We have her character art on some t-shirts and a bunch of other stuff, as well as the standard things that we had from season 1, including the logo, the My Jaw Drops, stickers and images, and the Remember Use Hellish Rebuke post-it note image on like t-shirts and stickers and stuff as well. So if you'd like to support us but you don't want to join the Patreon, and you would like to, wear some of our merch, as crazy as that sounds to me, you can head over to our website, and it's all linked on our website on the store page. But that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll see you soon.